Hey, 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 what's going on? This is Sunshine.
And E.
All right.
Hear he, YouTubers!
All right.
Are they YouTubers or we YouTubers? Or?
I guess
we all
You
YouTubers.
just say YouTube world, YouTube family. I hear it all on there. YouTube family, YouTube world. We all a part of it, whether we're watching or we're put the content together. But it's funny that we did this now. This is something that I guess you kind of got together. But I was talking to a guy, I don't know if it was today or yesterday about the subject. I was talking about how we were traveling one time. We stopped in a city and spent the night. We just got a point where we just wanted to pull over and stop. It looked like a decent hotel. We pulled over and stayed. And then later on, like a couple months later, I was hearing on the radio a guy talking about it being the poorest city in that particular state. And I was like, wow. But it didn't feel like it. Didn't seem like it. Mm. And actually, I wanted to. That was around the time we was really heavy into the, working with groups and traveling and doing studio time and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, maybe we put something together and go down there. But we never did come to fruition. So much other stuff going on. But this is a little different. This is top 10 worst neighborhoods in the United States of America. Number 2, Chicago and LA are on it. It says they're on it, so I mean, would you think if you made a list and you're talking about neighborhoods, you probably would think that Chicago, Detroit, maybe some parts of New York City. But I heard they were saying that one of the worst cities, as far as crime, was Little Rock at one time. That was years ago. But that when you think of it, it's like Little Rock, Arkansas, come on. But it was per capita, is what they're saying. So per amount of people, for the amount of people that they had a lot of crime, is what they were saying. So if they had as many people as New York, it would be worse than New York. It's basically what they're saying when they say per capita. But let's get into this. Before we do me a favor. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Also share, comment below. So come on, let's go.
What is going on, fellow Earth dwellers? How about we do a second neighborhoods list? Neighborhoods you should never dwell in, to be more specific. I said in my last video that we could do 2 or 3 of these bad neighborhood videos. I'm thinking more now that I'm doing some research. We have a bunch of really bad neighborhoods in this country. Now, one thing to keep in mind about this list, a bunch of stats, a bad location, and a reputation pretty much make up a bad neighborhood. If you think a place is bad because it has a bunch of violent crimes, well, you're correct. That does make it bad, but it might not also have a sewage treatment plant in its borders or crappy schools like another neighborhood. Right. So that's why a really dangerous place might not have made this list. What I'm getting at is crime isn't the only stat on this list, and they really don't fall into any particular order, but all have a strong argument for being the worst. Now, I know this should probably be called 10 more bad neighborhoods. I get it. Stop typing. Still gonna call it top 10. I have a theme on this channel and I'm sticking to it. But anyway, the neighborhoods on this list are the type of places you don't need to move to, or at least move to willingly. So why don't we take a look? Here's my top 10 worst neighborhoods in America. Number 2. Number 10, Druid Hills, Birmingham, Alabama. Druid Hills isn't the place you want to be for very long, or for any amount of time, to be perfectly honest. In the past year, this small neighborhood has seen 60 counts of theft, 23 burglaries, 13 shootings, and 5 armed robberies. And recently, they've seen packs of coyotes roaming the neighborhood. Wow. I didn't even think these things traveled in packs. I mean, small family units, and I get that. I mean, I watch Discovery Channel on the Roadrunner cartoon. I mean, I know it all. So, move to Druid Hills if you like theft, burglary, shootings, and the unnatural evolution of the coyote. Number 9, the Fairfield area, Baltimore, Maryland. In case you ever visit Baltimore, don't ever visit the Fairfield area. The crime rate here is 305% higher than the national average, giving you a 1 in 9 chance of being involved in a crime while in the neighborhood. The good news is, this is an industrial area and doesn't have any homes really. And they shouldn't. This place is polluted like most places that have been industrial areas for more than like a week in the United States, I imagine. They do have people living here though. They just live outdoors, kind of like urban campers that do it for more than like a weekend. This apparently is also a hot spot for overnight parking if you're living out of your car.
Wow.
Number 8, North Blue Ridge, Kansas City, Missouri. This area of Kansas City is a very small community with only about 100 residents. And it's a good thing the population is so low. This is a very poor area. The unemployment rate is 210% higher than the national average. Of the residents who do work, the income per capita is only about $12,000. Only $12,000. How do you make it on $12,000? Anyway, they also have more broken down cars than residents, it seems. And that's not counting the local pick and pull. Now, I'm talking about cars in backyards that haven't moved in 10, 15 years. And even the ones on cinder blocks in the front yard that haven't moved in 3 years. Yeah, they got a lot of those. Now, they do have a Dunkin' Donuts, and that kind of makes you forget about all the rest, but still, it's not a good place. Number 7, College Hill, St. Louis, Missouri. Missouri, you've made it twice on this list. Isn't that great? This one, you can get the whole story on this town almost on stats alone. The unemployment rate in College Hill is 185% higher than the national average. The median household income in College Hill is 63% lower than the national average. The overall crime rate in College Hill is 219% higher than the national average. You know something's wrong with your neighborhood when you drive through it and people have boarded up all the lower windows on most of the homes. Not vacant homes, occupied homes. They do have this really cool tower in the middle of town. Oh, look, hey, boarded up windows. Number 6, Hunts Point, New York, New York. This one is so bad, HBO did a documentary about the streetwalkers that work here. Everything about this neighborhood is horrible. The cost of living is 12% higher than the national average. How? How is that a thing? Everything about this place sucks, and it still costs too much to live there. That's crazy. If you live here now, move. That's your best option. Being able to tell people you live in New York City isn't worth living here. The crime rate is 65% higher than the national average, and the average income per capita is $11,000. How much are these street walking girls making here if they're only making $11,000 a year?
Wow.
It's crazy.
Number 5, West Englewood, Chicago. Congratulations, Chicago, you're on the list. And congratulations to all of you that always ask why Chicago didn't make the list. I've explained this before, but we'll do a quick recap on why it never does make the list. There's just too many people in Chicago. And since crime stats and all other stats are done on averages and per capita, it just doesn't cut it. It doesn't add up. Most of Chicago is really nice with really good people. West Englewood is not part of that Chicago. It is actually known as the worst area in terms of gang activities in Chicago. The crime rate in West Englewood is 262% higher than the national average. I'll say that again. The crime rate is 262% higher than the national average. While in the area, you have a 1 in 9 chance of being involved in a crime. This, ladies and gentlemen, is one of 2 neighborhoods that give Chicago a bad reputation. Okay, maybe there's a third. Number 4, Eagledale, Indianapolis, Indiana. This area of Indianapolis is no stranger to crime. A little over 20% of the population is living in poverty. For the most part, this is due to their drug dependency. Just last week, authorities served 15 search warrants. From these raids, 11 pounds of meth, 60 pounds of weed, 18 firearms, and 25 bootleg copies of Madea Goes to Jail were seized. Like I said, these people are on drugs. That was just Tuesday also. What the hell do they have planned for Friday? Eagledale is safer than 2% of the cities in the United States. In other words, if you took 100 towns in this country, there would only be 2 worse than this little slice of heaven.
Wow.
Number 3, Midtown, New York, New York. Midtown is the highest per capita crime rate in all of New York City. It's actually 215% higher than the national average. For every 100,000 residents, there's 126 crimes reported. Just last month, there were reports of teens robbing newsstands, a Lyft driver being assaulted by a bicyclist in traffic, 18 reports of men exposing themselves, and 4 reports of people trying to buy Jets season tickets. I'm telling you, it's gotten bad in Midtown. Number 2, Fuller Park, Chicago. Fuller Park is the worst area of Chicago you can go to. The crime rate is 145% higher than the national average. The total year-over-year crime in the neighborhood has increased by 13%. The schools here are bad, they have no jobs, and the weather sucks. This is what politicians are talking about when they're trying to scare you into voting for them. 2 or 3 neighborhoods in Chicago are bad, and they make it sound like this whole city's a war zone. Then they make you think they're the only ones that can save you, so you better vote for them. It's all nonsense. And stop typing. I'm not saying any party does it more than the other one. They all do it. They're all guilty. It sucks.
Skid Row.
And number 1, the Fashion District and Skid Row, Los Angeles. Skid Row and the Fashion District are right next to each other and kind of are one and the same. And stop typing. They are. And they're also frickin' scary places to be and should be avoided at any time of the day or night. Drugs and crime are out in the open in this area, and they have an overall crime rate that's 75% higher than the national average. And I promise you, that is an incorrect stat. I'm sure it is much, much higher. I used to work in this area. At least I had to pick up supplies here. And it looks like downtown Tijuana if downtown Tijuana took a turn for the worst. It's worse than Tijuana. I'm not kidding. The reason I say there's more crimes is because nobody reports anything. The police try and avoid this area at all times, and the locals know it, and they don't even call the police. The police have pretty much taken the stance that if there's not a body, they're not investigating anything. So it's useless to call them. You gotta fend for yourself in these neighborhoods. A cop told me that once. He said, if there's not a body, they're not showing up. The area is said to be America's homeless capital, with around 2,500 homeless residents within this half square mile.
Wow.
I'm not kidding. It's a half square mile. The streets here look like people are camping out on the sidewalk to get the latest iPhone or something. It's just, these people are in line every single day, and all of them put together don't have enough to buy one iPhone. I'm not even kidding. They're all broke. Obviously, they're living in Skid Row, Los Angeles, and they go around the Fashion District digging in trash cans. It's sad. I'm not trying to make light of them. That's a bad situation there. And it is probably one of the worst neighborhoods in the country, the two of them together. All right, so that's my top 10 worst neighborhoods in the United States.
Wow.
Nonsense.
Okay, so I
Nonsense.
see.
And stop typing. I'm not saying any.
So I see. Detroit didn't make this.
Well, this is number 2, so there was a number 1 before. There was a top. That's what it said, top 10, but this is the second one he did. That's where the number 2 is. So they might have been on the first one. He said that's what he's saying. You know, the title of top 10 is the next 10 really, but so that's probably maybe it was on the first one. We gotta check that out, see if we see the first one. But
check that one out.
This is one thing that I always talk about people, and it's not just in this particular scenario, but overall, is humans. They're just we kind of adjust to our situation. We'll whether it's what we're eating, how we're working out or not working out, where we go to work, we adjust to it. And that's just here, because when we was in New York recently, you go from Manhattan to Brooklyn, it's just this difference in there, and then New York City altogether is just a different place. But it's just weird because we went one particular place and we looked, and I seen like trash all over. And I'm just thinking, man, I wonder if the people, how they get used to just kind of seeing. Another thing that you would never see is a real wealthy neighborhood. I mean, a real expensive hotel with 40 bags of garbage sitting outside, and that be okay.
Yeah.
But New York, that's it. You just pile it up there. You don't put it in a can, nothing. You just pile it up there, and they'll come get it. It's amazing. If you've never been to New York City, I'll tell you, go visit New York City. But one important thing is have somebody take you around. Because that's going to be big. I mean, because they'll know where to go, how to get there, where to park, all this. Because, where I'm from, you could do right on red. You can't do that in the city. See, because the person was telling us, hey, don't do that. And, when you get up here, there's cameras up here. So to have someone that can guide you through there and take you to the places. But it's real unique. And for me, New York City seems like the town is I always felt like I'm on vacation. I always felt like the whole environment is a vacation environment. It could be a Tuesday and you walk into the store and it feels like a weekend. Somebody's on vacation, or it's a weekend. That's how New York is. And maybe that's why a lot of people like there, because they feel like they're not really. It's like they're always kind of on vacation, but everybody's always ripping and running.
It's always busy.
It is. It's, and it's busy. Weird. And it's weird because I think there was some apartments. I don't know what the name of them were, but I think they were actually built as low income housing. I think originally, and I thought about that. It's like one thing was you have these huge buildings with all the apartments all in this maybe 2-block or 3-block area, and not nowhere near enough parking spaces for those people just in that building alone. Then people come by and visit, so the parking is outrageous. But it's just weird, those same apartments that probably built as low income housing now go for like $5,000, $5-6 grand a month, and so it's just the perspective of the people.
Yeah, it's supposed to be one of the good neighborhoods too. I mean, to my understanding,
I think because it's in Manhattan.
They upgraded it so much. That,
Because it's like
they have their own policing.
Right.
The New York police can't come inside their subdivision or whatever they called it area, and they have no control, none. So that's how big they are.
Right. It's amazing because it's a lot of New York is just something. If you've never been there, that is an experience that you might want to, experience because it's like none other. We've traveled here, abroad, or whatever, but never really seen nothing like New York City on that level, consistently on that level. And when I say city, I'm not just talking about one borough. I'm saying when you add them all the boroughs, because we kind of around. We went to about three or four different boroughs. We knew some of the places we had to go, and you could tell the difference in the boroughs. You could tell, okay, this borough got this feel, this one has this one, and even this borough, he got a west side and an east side, and that east side is, and so it's real interesting. So when I watch things like this, it's real interesting when you travel. If you don't travel, you travel just around the states, from city to city, how different people are. Just 30 miles up the road, so it's weird. So that
different
was
city, different world.
Yeah, that was the top 10. Well, one of the 10, I guess, that they put of the worst neighborhoods in the United States.
I'm curious. I'm gonna see if we can find the one.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if, Detroit and New Orleans.
Okay, yeah. Part of New Orleans. That's the thing about it. When people talk about New Orleans, think about Mardi Gras. They think about Bourbon Street. But there's when I talk to people from New Orleans, there's an other side of New Orleans.
There's a lot of homeless people.
Yeah, and that's such a small part of New Orleans. When you start putting in, I forgot what they call them. But they have these different sections of New Orleans and Bourbon Street, and that's kind of small. I think they have a casino down there. That's probably a smaller part of it, but most of it is just residential and not maybe not the greatest place to stay. But that's what they say. I hear a lot of horror stories as far as the police department and just how it's run all together. So it's amazing how these cities keep going when it's not really run the best. But that was the 10 worst, or the next 10. So y'all let us know what you think about it. And before we go, do me a favor, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, also share, comment below, and I do believe that's it.
That's it. Thanks for listening to Sunshine and E.